of Talking with T. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being so patient with me as I'm about to introduce to you my next wonderful, fabulous guest. Her name is Jacqueline Stewart.
Good
How are
morning. I'm doing great. How are you doing today, love?
I'm doing well. Could you tell
Awesome.
a little bit about yourself? Just a
Well,
little
I
bit about yourself.
okay. Well, I'm a mom. I'm a wife. Actually a military spouse. I have two children. One is on the autism spectrum, and the other is diagnosed with ADHD. I'm also a mental health coach, a minister, and there are a lot of more other things that I do. But my heart in everything that I do is always to encourage moms, wives, and women.
Right. So I see that you've become, like you say, you become a mental health coach. How did that start? Like, what were you doing during that time where you just say, you know what, I have to mentor women and moms? How did that start for you?
Okay, so there are four things, and I'm gonna talk about them real quickly. Well,
Okay.
number one, my day job is basically working with families and youth that have a mental illness or some kind of developmental delay.
Okay.
I help to support them and to bring together a team of people in
Okay.
order to help them with their behavior. We develop strategies for them, and we go into the school and help the moms to advocate for them. So I work with people like that on a daily basis. Also, like I said, I have a son that is on the autism spectrum, and my daughter is diagnosed with ADHD, which is considered, somewhat of a mental illness. It's
Right.
in that line. Um, Also, I've dealt with it on my own, and I can tell you a little bit about that. And I am certified in mental health awareness, and I'm currently in grad school for clinical mental health counseling.
Okay.
But as far as it pertaining to me doing this with women, moms, and wives, in my community, I love to put on events for women to encourage
Right.
them and empower them. But I had a time in my own life where my mental health was out of whack. I thought I was going crazy. I was dealing with anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts. And really, what it was, I was overwhelmed.
Right.
I didn't have my life in priority. Of
Right.
course, because as moms, when we become moms, we have to learn to prioritize our lives.
That's right.
The things that we used to do when we didn't have children, it changes when we have children.
That's
Also,
right.
being a
Yeah.
spouse, when we were single, there were some things that we could do that we can't do as a married person. And
Right.
so, I can remember I used to, when I was in college and I didn't have kids and I wasn't married, I would be running around doing everything,
Yes.
going to college. Every time the church doors open, I would be at church or I would be at some kind of event, just out ripping and running. But,
Right.
as a spouse and as a mom, I had to learn that I had to transition.
That's
And
right.
so what it was, when I sat down to think about it, it's not that I was going crazy, but it
Hmm.
was just that my life was transitioning. And
Right.
something in me had to say, girl, calm down. It's not the end of the world. Your life is just transitioning, and you have to prioritize. You have to set boundaries. You have to pray, and you have to have purpose.
Right. And look, we as mom, that motherhood baby has to speak within our heart, within our mind.
Right,
Because, like you said, we get a different mind frame once we become adults, and especially once we become mothers.
right,
And
right,
we definitely have to set examples for them. Just get a whole outlook on, like,
right.
motherhood
Yes,
and wives, being a wife. A lot of times that's really overwhelming. Like you say, it is
right.
definitely overwhelming sometimes, but we have to just hold it together and just keep going. And I'm so proud of you. You know what I'm saying?
Thank
For
you, girl.
even having the courage to say, I want to make a change and I want mothers aware of this change so we all can know.
Right,
You know what I'm
right,
saying? What's going on? What is the next step to, become
right.
better us? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And like I was saying, my heart
So,
is to tell my story because
right.
I believe if we can't be transparent with people, how can we help people?
That's right.
Like I said, I'm a minister as well. But I've always told God, if I cannot be authentic and transparent, then I don't want to do this thing called ministry.
That's
Because
right.
my heart is to be open so that other people can be healed and
That's
that they can have the strategies and the tools that they need to overcome whatever it is that
right.
they need to overcome. Because when our mental health is intact, we're able to move in our personal and professional lives successfully.
That's right.
So
So,
that's just my heart. That's my heart.
so it came naturally for you.
It
Very
comes naturally, and then I'm a listener. I'm one of those people where if somebody has an issue, if they need inspired, they'll come to me, talk to me about it. If they have a secret that they don't want anybody to know, they'll come and drop that in my lap. So
okay.
I've just, learned to be a listener and to be a nurturer as a mom, to be a supporter as a spouse.
Right.
So there's so many things that we learn as moms and as spouses and just women all together because we wear so many hats.
Yes, definitely. So you say you have two children,
Yes.
a daughter and a son, and your
Right.
son has autism. What
Yes.
is your perception of autism, like to you? Because a lot of times we have different meanings of autism. And for
Right.
people who don't know exactly what autism means, what is
Mm-hmm.
your I would say way of saying what is
Well,
autism?
yeah,
What is it?
autism. Right. Well, I would say is of course a um developmental disability or developmental disorder.
Hmm.
But I see it, as I've been. My son is 5. He'll be 6 in May. I
Okay.
just really see it as a difference, not necessarily as Of course, it's a disorder, but I don't see it as a problem. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like some
Yeah.
people, when a child is diagnosed with something, you know, sometimes people, become overwhelmed and they see it as a problem and they
Right.
see it as the child is not gonna make it or the child doesn't really have a purpose or a destiny. But I don't see it as something as difficult. I just see it as a difference, meaning that I just have to work with my child differently. And
Right.
that's it. And so what I have to do is get the tools in order to work with him on the level that he's on, or to be able to work with him in a way that he understands.
Right.
So that's simply what I see autism as, just a difference in, as moms, as parents, we just have to have patience with
That's
our children. Even more so if they have a disability, we have to be willing to get the tools that we need, the information. We
yes.
have to be willing to make sure that they're going to the doctor. We have to make sure that basically that they're getting the special care that they need in order to be successful. And so with my child, when he was about 12 months, I knew that there was something different about him. Now,
Okay.
how did I know this? I could just feel it. I
Right.
just felt it. I felt it in my gut. I can remember one day I was taking him to daycare. I got out of the car. I went to his side and I took him out of his car seat and I held him. And
Yeah.
as I was going into the daycare, something in me just said, there's something different about your child. It was like even though he was 12 months, I could feel that really his mental was 6 months. I don't know. It was just something in me. And
Yeah.
so when I took him to the doctor, of course, he was behind as far as speaking and things like that. And the doctor got me connected to an agency that could help with his development, his communication, his
Right.
cognitive skills, and different things like that. So, and now he's in kindergarten. And when I tell you he's one of the best kids in his class, he's
See?
one of the smartest children.
Well.
He communicates well. So we have to start at a young age.
Right.
We can't be afraid to realize that there's something different about our children and get them
Right.
the help that they need. And also, it's very important for moms who have children with a disability to get with a community of other women who are
Right.
dealing with the same thing, because sometimes people don't understand children's
Right.
autism. When a child is having one of those flash out moments, somebody may tell you, get the belt. and whoop them because they're acting out.
Right. Get the belt on
And that,
everything. Like
right,
put the belt down and see what's going on with
right,
the child, because it could be something, more to them than what it is that you're looking at. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Put the belt
right,
down and understand what it is that he's going through, and understand how could you get help for
right,
him or her. You know what
right,
I'm saying?
right. And people will, I'm sorry, I had a phone call, but people will um make you feel like you're wrong.
Right.
They'll make you feel like, again, your child is bad, or just get the belt and everything will be okay.
Yes.
No, so you have to make sure that you're with a community of people that understand the needs of your child,
Right.
and
Exactly.
they're there to support you as well, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and even physically. So
Right.
that's very important.
That is. So, when did you just say, okay, I'm going to take him to the doctor? And when did the doctor actually diagnose your son?
Okay, so okay,
Take me
so
back to
12,
that.
right, so 12 months, I knew something was different. Took him to the doctor. They got me connected with an agency. Okay, the agency did an assessment on him. They, of
Oh,
course, knew that he had a developmental delay. Okay,
right.
so then maybe when he was around 3, when he first went to Head Start, I think around 3, my husband was like, Jackie, I think you need to take him back. I think he needs to see a
Right.
specialist. Well,
Mm-hmm.
well, you know what? Let me go back because this is very important. So when my son was about 18 months, our pediatrician first sent us to a specialist. So
Right.
we were thinking that it was somebody that was, gonna know how to deal with a child with autism, help us with the diagnosis. Well, when I took my child to this doctor's appointment, this doctor wanted to put my child on a medication prescription at the age of 18
What?
months. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. So this was a doctor that wasn't necessarily concerned about the diagnosis of autism. They just wanted to write a
Write a
prescription. And of
prescription.
course,
Get
because
that
they
in.
get paid for that. Right.
Exactly.
So moms, be careful with that. With these specialists writing out prescriptions for your children at 18 months. That's
18
right.
months.
So it's your right. You don't have to get that medication or anything. It is
Okay.
your right. So anyway, so we didn't go that route. But about, like I said, 3, when he was 3, my husband was like, okay, we need to take him to another specialist. And when we did,
Right.
um diagnosed
Yeah.
with autism at that moment. And
Mm-hmm.
so um we started to, so this is the thing about my son. The only thing that he eats is oatmeal. Okay,
Okay.
so he has a sensory issue on his tongue. If you trying to feed him anything else, that boy will scream and holler, and
Really?
he would act up. So his favorite food is oatmeal. He eats it
Okay.
for breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner. Oatmeal, different flavors. Okay. Um, my son has not correlated the thing of chewing yet with his brain.
You're
So
right.
what he does is he swallows his oatmeal. So say for instance, if you try to give him something hard or even like a gummy, he won't chew it. He doesn't understand chewing it. So he could possibly choke on it.
Right.
So we took him to a place where they could kind of help him with his nutrition and his sensory development and stuff like that. Now he's still
Yeah.
having a difficult time with it, but he is at least taking the time to smell it and to taste it.
See,
You know,
that's good.
he wants it. So
That's
just that's kind of the timeline, of us, learning about his diagnosis, getting the right tools to work with him, learning how to be patient. And this is another thing. You have to know when the child is just being stubborn because that's their personality, and
mm-hmm.
when it's autism.
Like my
Okay.
boy.
So with our son, just because he has a diagnosis, we don't let him just get away with things because
I
he
know.
has a great understanding.
Yes.
Okay. He knows right from wrong. He knows how to do what he needs to do, get his clothes on. He knows how to follow directions just like that.
See?
He knows
Yeah.
how to behave well in school. So we are aware when it's just him wanting to be stubborn and not do something. and when it's the actual autism. So you have to know the difference between the two with your child as well.
Right. That's very informative.
Yeah.
So say when he don't want to do anything, like how stubborn is he? You know what I'm saying? Is he just like, I'm not gonna do it, I don't have to do it,
Um,
or just leave me alone type?
he's the type that he doesn't like to be bothered.
Right.
He doesn't like to be bothered,
At
but
all
he sometimes, I
sometimes.
guess it depends on what he's doing. He doesn't like to be bothered. But however, he's a great kid. I mean, he's an obedient kid. Like we can tell him to do something, and 9 times out of 10 he'll do it. But there are times that he'll have his moment where he just wants to be stubborn. Like if I tell him, "Okay, go help your sister to do something," and he just doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to do it, but he
Right.
always wants his to help him. So it's stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, look, that's how my boys are anyway.
Right.
That's just
Right.
how kids are anyway.
Right.
Autism don't have anything to do with it.
Right.
Yeah. So when you first found out that, your son had autism, how did you feel?
Oh
Like,
my goodness.
how was that gut feeling? You
Yeah.
already knew that something was wrong, and then when you
Yeah.
hear something is wrong,
Right.
how
Right.
did you feel?
Okay, so but I wanna change this wording right quick. Don't say wrong, say different.
Different. Okay.
Okay. Because I
Just
want
different.
parents to know that there's nothing wrong with your child. They're just different. Okay.
Right.
So, but when I first learned, it was a punch to my gut.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a little overwhelming. You're gonna feel it, but you're hearing, I'm sorry, you're hearing that there's something wrong. You see me saying wrong, but different
Yes,
with your
different.
child. And so it's hard. Sometimes it was hard for me to process, but I was able to move along.
Right.
Yeah.